Welcome to my new podcast, Let's Talk About It with Inayah and Mushirah. I got my special guests here, Casey and Jasmine. How y'all feeling?
Feeling good. A little hungry.
Okay. I don't know too much about you yet, Jasmine, so talk to us about some of your obstacles.
The biggest obstacle would be my father. Like many young black women, I don't have the proper guidance, the proper safe hold. I don't have any real relationship with my father. I never have. I had the type of father that would tell me, you can call me too, and would be mad when I called him for help if I was with my mom, like, hey, I need money for this or I need this. He's like, well, you use me as an ATM. You don't never call me. And it always used to bother me because I felt like even as a child, I had to work for my relationship. I had to work for his approval. And I spent a great deal of my childhood and adulthood doing that. Just know that this is a man who is a control freak, a narcissist. He's controlled every aspect of my life up until probably about 2 years ago when I broke up with my ex. When I really woke up and I realized that I've been living my life on autopilot.
What does that look like? What do you mean by autopilot?
It was a great time. I'll say that. It was a great time. I have a lot of memories, but I don't feel like I was conscious. I didn't understand, and I didn't have the want or will to understand the gravity of the mindset of every action has a reaction. Every action has a consequence. I didn't pay that enough attention. And it's affected me and also molded me into a better person. But at the same time, I feel like if I were to have the proper guidance in my life, it would have been a little different. But I'm okay with, like I said, I'm okay with where I'm at because I came from struggle, but to be as beautiful as a person I am, and to carry on life as I do, despite all the many obstacles, I still remain positive. A lot of people compliment me for my energy. I'm not boasting or anything. I'm a happy, bubbly person. I like to dance. I like to sing. I like to have a good time. And I wasn't always like that. My best friends always saw that. When we were in our confidence, you would see that side of me, but I was always too embarrassed to show who I really was to the public eye. And now I live freely as myself.
I know a lot of times when people, they grow up in a narcissistic or controlling environment, it's easy for them to become that unknowingly, right? You might not even be aware that is what you become. Nonetheless, that is what you become because that's what you're around, that's what you're used to. So talk to me about that.
I find that to be quite the interesting question because many people don't think of that. Are we being 100% honest? It took me a great deal of time, probably until about these past 2 or 3 years, where I was able to live honestly, and I mean that, but I was a pathological liar, manipulator.
What is that? What do you mean by that? Talk to me more about that.
Oh, baby, it was deep. I could make you believe anything about me, and you would believe it. I could be whoever I wanted to be, and you would believe me, because I have that genuine energy, and I use that to my advantage. And I truly believe I guess what you would call borderline personality disorder. I guess you could say it's hints of that. I believe I was also borderline narcissistic at the same time because you take on these, what's the word I'm searching for? These idiosyncrasies of the narcissist that you are dealing with. And I found myself in manipulating people emotionally and mentally and playing these chess for checkers type of games with people. And I really had to come to my senses and realize I can tell whatever lie, I can manipulate whoever, and they'll go for it. But it's going to be on me to decide to be a better person. Because as long as I want to do it, I can do it. Right. But it really was a decision for me to decide I just wanted to be a good person.
Wait, can I ask a full circle question?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know, because this has always been something in the back of my head, because I was just never sure about, but because I was friends with you, and I believed you because of the person you was, but it always like left that it left that it was like I still just wasn't sure. So do you really have brothers?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do. And my dad, no, I do.
Okay.
My dad doesn't really claim them.
But they live in Puerto Rico.
They do, very much so.
Okay.
Very much so.
Right.
From what he has told me, that's where they reside now. But every bit of so. Every bit of so. I didn't grow up with these people. I may have made a story to make you believe so, but I didn't grow up with these people.
Yeah.
These are people that my dad told me about when I got to him in 2009.
I've experienced people who have like narcissistic ways and, you know, manipulating ways. You know, I don't ever judge, right?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of things, like the way that people are, has a lot to do with like their childhood, their upbringing, traumas, right? Unresolved traumas that, you know, maybe they haven't faced or went to a therapist about. There's a lot of people that's dealing with it and they are scared to admit it, which is why they keep ruining relationships or they keep going at it with themselves and they can't find that peace, because in order to find that peace, you have to acknowledge the ugly. Right?
Definitely. It's hard to do.
So with you knowing that, like, okay, I do possess some of these qualities, I'm not going to put this title on me and say, hey, I am this, right? Which I don't think anybody should, but I think it's important to recognize, hey, I do possess some of those qualities. How did that affect you in your actual life, in your actual relationships? Like, I'm a firm believer that karma is real. And when I say karma, I don't mean, oh, you know, I cheated on you, you cheat on me. I mean, karma is energy. So the energy you put out is the energy you get back. Whatever that energy looks like that you get back, you're going to get it back. So like, what did that look like for you that got you to the point where it's like, okay, I need to start to acknowledge this?
My ex was the reincarnate of my father. Ooh. And I mean it to the T. To the T. And he was my karma. And I truly believe it, because I've told a lot of lies and got a lot of things. I've done a lot of things in my life that I'm not proud of, but I can admit to. I realized this once I got into therapy. I always used to tell people, he's just like my dad. That's why we bond. And the crazy part is I would say this out loud and still not recognize that was something I should have ran from because of the traumatic relationship between me and my father.
Right.
I'm like, damn.
But he was the reincarnate, and he did me so dirty, baby. My son may be special needs, but he understands emotion. He comprehends much more than a lot of people think. And he very much so withdrew from me in my depression. And it took me months to earn back my son's trust. Even when he knows when his body is very spastic and he's getting out of control, because I would tell him, you're stressing me out. I was just saying this on Facebook today. I used to start off my day with a blunt and a beer out the gate, empty stomach, just to bring myself back down to square one. And that was a lot. Right. And I used to have to do that regularly just to regulate my emotions. But very much so, he could sense that. And now, even to this day, sometimes when he knows he's getting real worked up, he'll look at me. And I can see him looking at me, waiting for my reaction. And it's painful for me, because I know that started when I withdrew from him because of my own heartbreak. And I believe that was the truest karma to me, because Malachi, my son, I believe he was given to me because I never knew what it was to have true unconditional love. But he was what really checked me. And I said, if I'm going to get out of this toxic circle, if I'm going to break this cycle, I'm going to have to acknowledge where I went wrong. Because I'm steady playing the victim. I'm steady playing on what they did. And I'm not acknowledging what role I played, what I allowed, and what I did. And then once I took
a lot of people can't do
control of that, it took me into a deep depression. I was like, damn, like I really am manipulative. I really am this. I really am that. But it took me a while to realize that's not just what I am. Like, I can be more. I am capable of things better than my flaws.
Yeah.
And that there's people who love me despite them.
Right.
Yes.
And so I've made a point to invest in myself, in my little village. And I think that's the best thing. Even though it was karma, I think that's the best thing that happened to me still.
I feel like a lot of times the universe will allow us to go through things so that way we can get to the other side of who we're supposed to be.
Right.
Because, you know, it's easy to want things like the easy way, and it's like, well, why am I going through this? And I don't deserve this. This person did X, Y, and Z. And I think that once I really started my spiritual journey and my healing journey, once I got on the other side of the pain, I was able to see, yes, one, you have some acknowledging to do, right? You have to acknowledge, you know, where you went wrong and the things that you did. But the second half to that is that if I never went through that, I wouldn't have the experience I have now. I wouldn't be the Inayah that you're seeing today, right? Sometimes we have to go through those traumatizing things. Or, you know, yeah, you went through a lot, and I'm sorry, but look at who you are now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Look at what you learned from it.
I can even attest and say, like,
Yeah.
for as long as I've known you, I've always loved your personality.
Thank you.
I've always loved the person that you are. Like, you've always been strong. You've always been, to me, what I feel like someone who knew who they were. Like, you were bubbly. Like, you were strong in your words. You stood on your words. And it's like, in whatever way that you even meant to use them or how you use them, like, you stood on that. And it's like, that was such a strong personality or such a strong person. I've always looked at you as a strong person. Yeah.
And that's why I feel like that man was no good for me, y'all.
Yes, I'm glad you got out of that.
I'm so glad that.
Because if I would have heard you say that, I would have been like.
But you know what? That's why I feel like it was my karma, because it took me out of my character and it had to bring me to who the ugly parts of me really was. Because everybody, even the friends I had at the time were saying, Jasmine, when I met you, you were the type of woman who stood on your word. Mm-hmm. And then you got with this man and was doubling back left and right. Mm. So what's going on? Because the person I know would have been like,
yeah,
nah.
Yeah, I would have been on that same train. Like, who are
karma.
you? What is it?
But karma, because I was doing the same thing with my dad. I never, even if I can't verbalize to him, I don't fuck with you, you're a horrible person and you're evil, and I can't stand you with any fiber of my being. Mm-hmm. I still can draw that line up here with him and emotionally with him. I don't have any
boundaries.
Boundaries. I don't have any connection with you. There's no need for conversation. There's no need for the niceties. I'm just here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's interesting hearing you talk about that. We will continue to attract what we are until we acknowledge who we are and we raise our vibration.
Yeah.
And once you start to heal yourself,
child, you said something.
Once you start to heal yourself and you start to go on your spiritual journey, whatever that looks like for you, you naturally start to raise your vibration and your frequency, because now you start creating boundaries, right? Hopefully you get to the point where you trust the universe or God, whatever you say, enough where, you know, you have the courage to let go of those people who hold you back. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, that stuff sucks, but I attracted that. That means that
I think, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt. Mm-hmm. I think that you need to draw a line between what you attract and what you allow, because I don't think that a person is necessarily a reflection of what they attract, but what they allow in their space. Because I attract a lot of shit. Excuse me if we can't curse, I'm sorry. And it took me a while, because me and my sister were just talking about this. We got on these dating apps and all that stuff. And I'm like, is this, like, am I delusional? Am I ugly? Am I, like, what's going on? Because the people that are in my DMs are not matching what I think I am.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Yeah. But then I have to tell myself, you are not a reflection of what is attracted to you, because of the world of social media and easy access. Anyone can have access to you. That's cool.
So when I say attraction, I don't mean a physical attraction.
You mean mentally?
I mean, it's more, if we're connecting like this and it's not a physical connection, then there's something there where we're vibrationally on the same level, right? So when you raise your vibration, when you raise your frequency, that's not to say that people aren't going to be attracted to you. Right. I expect people to be attracted to me. I expect people to be, period. It's a part of being human. But for me to meet that person on that attraction level, I have to be able to see something in them. Yeah. That is where my current vibration is. If not, we don't have anything to talk about. And I expect that from even, you know, other people. If they don't see me on the same vibrational level,
you gotta let it go.
what is there to talk about?
Yeah.
There's not much to talk about, right?
Yeah.
But they don't believe so.
No.
Many people are afraid to be alone. There's a lot of people will see that they don't have any sort of connection on that level and still tolerate it.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the strength to be by yourself and understand that when it comes down to it, in my opinion, no company is better than bad company.
Yeah.
I like to write a book.
Nah, for sure.